Okay, Trevor here from Solder Builders. We're here at Fairview Windows and Doors to meet Dion. Dion's going to show us through his factory, explain some of the processes and the different products that he has. It's important to point out to people at this point that the windows and doors are a very important part of the construction in the house. They're the single most expensive individual component that goes into the house. So getting this right is key. The windows are obviously a key component in the outcome of what the house is going to be like once you move into it and how you live in the house. Okay,
cool.
So yeah, thanks for having us here,
No,
Dion.
sure.
And,
fantastic. Thanks for coming.
Just yeah, let us take us on a bit of a tour of the facility. And
fantastic. Great. It's nice to have you here, Trevor. Look, at the end of the day, ultimately for us, yes, you are right. The joinery, when it turns up to a house, it's one of the most. It's a big asset, a big chunk of the build. We find also too, being one of the first finished products on the job, it has to be well protected as well too. So obviously we get different trades and so forth coming through in the house, so we need to protect that. But definitely, it's one of those things where we have to try to, when it comes to the likes of different glasses and so forth, and different types of extrusions and so forth, is trying to best get the correct product into the house for the client. I know in your case, Trevor, you do quite a few bigger architectural homes. So for us, we need to sort of implement nicer, bigger frames that can take the wind loadings and so forth. Leads me into my first sort of part is basically we have got a new window suite coming up called Fairview 1. Now Fairview 1 is a great suite. It's a residential suite but leads into an architectural suite, and basically what that means is we can use that framing. It's all about trying to minimise the sight lines. The problem we have with some of the bigger architectural frames is they have very big chunky rails and stiles and so forth, and when the people look out of the window joinery, all they see is aluminium. Maybe 5 years ago people really liked that big chunky look, but now people are sort of trying to go the other way and trying to have smaller extrusions and much bigger panes of glass. So this particular suite through Fairview 1, and I've got a door and a window here which I can show you. There's some pretty cool features for this new frame these new frames as well too, for drainage and wind loadings and so forth. But I think ultimately what I'll do, if we just have a quick nosy at this window over here, yep, and start off where more of the biggest factor I find with clients is when it comes to drainage for a window on the inside. Condensation channels are a real big pain because they're very hard to clean out. So if we just have a quick nosy at this window here, look at fundamentally this window we have here is very much a standard looking window. There's nothing too different with it. As far as aesthetically, when your window's closed, it looks much the same as a normal window. The few features that it has got is it has a much wider condensation channel, and this condensation channel, the issues where everyone has had in the past is not only is it very hard to clean out, but when you're inside with the light shining on the window, it shows a shadow line, and the problem with it, they always look dirty. So with this new suite, with this new Fairview 1 suite, especially for the window, hinge door, awning window frame, it's a much wider, easier to clean channel. The other pretty cool thing which we've featured with this here is we've put our drainage holes, rather than down on the bottom, we've put our drainage holes in the sides of the windows. Helps best drain the window as well too. And also too, the window joinery, there's no visible screws holding holding the opening sash or the frame together. We use a cleat system with an Allen key, which actually pulls the whole miters together. Yep. So what that does, it means that when the miters do come together, they're always a nice, clean, finished miter. There's no sort of bevels and joinery which is not finished correctly. The other good thing, there's no visible screws. So we find quite a few people have different, don't like to have visible screws. So yeah,
now,
pretty cool.
When we're talking about the drainage holes in the condensation channel, a lot of people obviously know a window keeps the weather out.
Yes.
Can you just explain a bit why we need that on the inside? Because obviously windows have evolved a lot. We've gone from single glazing to double glazing.
Yep.
We've gone to thermally broken. But there is still obviously potential for condensation,
correct.
isn't there?
Correct. That's correct. Yep. So yeah. We have a thermally broken range of window frame as well too, and that has a condensation channel on it. In a lot of cases, particularly in certain parts of houses, say on the south side of a house where it doesn't get the sun, in bedrooms where people are sleeping, the condensation has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And the problem I find is the problem we find is we do get a little bit of condensation on the windows if there is if it's cold, or if it's the south side, or people sleeping in bedrooms and so forth, and they produce condensation.
Yeah.
So yes, we have to have an actual condensation channel, whether it be purely to capture the condensation, or if it's to capture we sometimes call them a evaporation channel as well too. And the water might just sit in here, or a little bit of water, and capture it. I would rather have water sitting in this tray, so to speak, rather than not having a condensation channel and it leaks onto the timber reveal and it starts rotting. Yep. the actual timber reveal on the inside. So yeah. That's one big thing.
Oh yeah, obviously wet areas, bathrooms, you've got a higher chance of that.
Yes, as well too. Sorry, bathrooms and laundries, especially if the room isn't vented enough as well too. So that's a big thing. And as I say, even our range of thermally broken window frames still have a condensation channel on the inside. Yep.
Can you just explain the how thermally broken works? Because a lot of people have probably heard it, but they don't understand what the thermal break is.
Yep. Yeah, cool. So thermally broken frames work really great with a lot of factors. First and foremost, thermally broken frames are all about heat retention. So we're trying to keep as much heat into the house as into the house. We find a lot of European people who come from overseas, and they're not quite used to our aluminium windows, our residential aluminium window joinery, and they don't like the fact that when they touch the windows on the inside, they're cold. A thermally broken window frame will be cold on the outside, but it'll be relatively warm on the inside. So you're not going to have that that issue with a cold touch feeling window. Also too, it retains the heat. So obviously because the window has that thermal break in the middle, it keeps all that heat into the house. You're not reflecting the cold of the aluminium coming back into the house. Also, when we have our double glazed glass, whether it be specialised double glazed glass or a standard double glazed glass, it's all working together basically. Yeah. So what that means is ultimately, yes, a residential window frame with double glazed glass is a very good window, but it's just the next step up basically. So and we find architects are specifying maybe a thermally broken frame now purely because they can then regulate the temperature of what it's going to be inside the house. They know with certain specifications that we give them to know basically what the temperature inside the house is going to be, and R values and so forth, I should say, and it bumps it up as well too.
So that thermal break is actually normally a moulded plastic moulding where the two bits of aluminium click onto either side. That's correct. And that stops the transfer from one piece of aluminium to the inside piece. That's right. And that's how you get the break. That's
exactly right. So basically it's a polyamide strip, and it's actually knurled together to make the one piece of extrusion. Quite an incredible frame, where some of our thermal frames have multiple polyamide strips to make the one actual piece of extrusion. So there's a lot of work involved in doing it and to make it, but price-wise, it's not a huge difference. Back in our earlier days, it used to be a very expensive frame. Now it's much more budget conscious too, so it's really good. So.
And obviously the weight of glass with big windows puts a lot of strain on those sort of things, so they have to be engineered really well. Definitely.
Beauty of the particular suite that we use now, the thermal frame, its platform allows us to do relatively a thick double glazed glass unit. The thicker the double glazed glass unit means the bigger panes of glass which we can do. And you'll find if we do a number of architectural jobs. Bigger jobs, we'll use an architectural frame or we'll use a thermal frame because they have a bigger platform for the glass to sit on. So it's quite cool. It's actually, it's just the beauty of this Fairview 1 frame, our architectural and our thermal frame, is we try and have a frame that looks much the same aesthetically on the front, so it's all a flat finish. So it means if someone, for example, wants to put a standard window frame into the garage, and then a thermal frame into the bedrooms, and an architectural frame into the living areas for big doors, we can do that, and they look very similar. And it's really cool. So it means they can all integrate quite well. So it's good.
Okay. Can you show us the sliding version of?
Yeah, most definitely. If we just shoot over here, and I'll just show you this door over here. Probably a little bit hard to actually see, but. What's actually happened here now is so this is the Fairview 1 stacker sliding door. First and foremost, basically what we do is we it's probably not quite shown that well here, but we always offer an actual flush track. The flush track is something which we offer so that if the door is actually rebaited down into the floor, it means that we can have that nice level entry basically. So it's just a great way of having a nice flow outdoors. Another quite interesting fact here is if we just jump this stuff out of the way. The problem we've had in the past, and it's probably best viewed from here to be fair, but the problem we've had in the past is we have the fixed pane of glass and the two sliding panels, in this case of a stacker sliding door. This interlocking mullion has always been a very wide, chunky frame. So what we're doing here is the thickness of this frame is exactly the same as the thickness of this frame. So when we start doing very large doors, because keep in mind this particular frame, being a residential frame, we can do 2.5 high. And it's being tested to 3 metres, but 2.5 is our limit at the moment. Maybe we can do a door 4.9, 5 metres wide in this particular suite. So it means that we don't have to go into a bigger architectural frame, and also too, not so much from a customer perspective, but from an architect's or a builder's or a council or a plans perspective. This particular suite is an extra high, has an extra high wind zone. So it means every window and door we do in this Fairview 1 suite, we don't have to have a low, medium, high, very high wind zoning, extra high for everything. Right. So we don't have to worry about any of these issues with the council have. Yeah, it's just a really nice frame for that. But yeah, and it's all about this is probably a bit of a smaller frame. So this is 2.1 by 2.4. If we had the room to actually build a bigger door, I'd do it a lot higher than the ceiling, and I'd do it twice as wide as this, and all this frame basically melts away. Because you end up with such a very expensive panes of glass. What
a lot of people probably don't realise that, in a normal situation, this is quite a big fin.
Correct.
And it really stands out.
That's exactly right.
It's obviously taken some clever engineering to strengthen that up.
What we've tried to do, now one thing I can't show you is our hinged or bifolding door. Hinged doors and bifolding doors are real pain in the backside when it comes to getting the biggest units we can get, whether they, even if they be architectural or residential. So what we've decided to do with this Fairview 1 suite, rather than have, so when you look at a door this way, rather than having a hinge door or a bifolding door with wide stiles this way and wide rails that way, we've decided to go deeper this way. So traditionally a hinge door panel is 40mm deep.
Yeah.
We've gone 60mm.
Okay.
And it means that we can shrink everything down. Bifolding doors, when you have the two panels that come together, we normally have about 180mm of aluminium every time you have a junction.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can cut that down, I believe, to around about 90mm with a bifolding door, basically halving it. So because we're getting the strength from its depth rather than the strength from its width, basically. So, and it means it's more glass. And hey, as I say, 5 years ago, or probably even longer, everyone wanted to have the bigger, chunkiest looking frame that they could get their hands on. Now it's gone the other way. People want to see the view. Yeah. They don't want to see the aluminium.
And also, I think the big handicap that we had with bifolding doors was just that when they were closed, they restricted the amount of visible glass that you could actually see through. The advantages were they open the space right up. Whereas if you've got a slider, you've always got a fixed panel. So there's only 2/3 of this one that you can actually open up.
Yeah, that's right.
Bigger units obviously does allow you to do more.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always been the trade-off between sliding doors and bifolds.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I find, especially in say windier areas, the beauty of a sliding door. Well, the pros and cons, but the beauty of a sliding door is you can open the door up a crack and have a small gap and get some airflow. The problem with a bifolding door, you've got to have a actual panel open. And the problem with that is, well, that's great, because if it's a nice warm day, it's lovely. But if you just want a little bit of airflow, the sliders are probably better in that case. So,
we used to, the house that we used to live in, we had bifolds. We would just open them up a little bit sometimes for the airflow. But as soon as the wind blew, all of a sudden you'd hear it goes.
It's shut.
It slammed shut. So.
Wonder for me.
Well, did I hit that? No?
Oh, you did. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, well done. We're going home, yeah?
Just wanted to hit the alarm.
Fantastic. So you know, this is as a lead on. The Fairview 1 suite is a lead on where basically there will be more add-ons to it in time. But you know, fundamentally we've brought out a new suite. This is a new window suite that's come to the market. It's the newest complete window suite that's been on the market since 2005. So, so it's just a real innovative. The drainage system is fantastic. The sight lines are great, so it's really cool. So pretty exciting. To be fair, we're just in the process of getting the tooling together to do it, and we've done all the training down Christchurch. So yeah, basically we're chafing at the bit to get into it to make it happen. So it's just
But definitely, from a builder's point of view, I've always really liked the Fairview suites because they have always been reasonably simple in their design, and they are easier to install, especially the fact that the flanges here, when they close up against the cladding, are nice and flat. But even seeing how clean this looks now, it even looks easier. So
yeah, that's right, and which is great, because and you're dead right. The builder is ultimately the person putting the door in, or the joinery in, so they have to be a part of the installation as well too. So it's cool.
Okay. Cool. Now, are we limited by the amount of sliding panels? Can you go to 3 sliding panels?
This particular suite, no, we are limited to 2 in a fixed panel. So as I say, this is a brand new suite, and to get it to the market, we've had to have a few things there which are part of a window suite, so to speak. There will be in time, I believe, ultimately multiple panels. maybe over the wall sliders with this particular suite.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just going to watch, just see what our designers have installed.
Okay.
But ultimately also too, because we can do these bigger panes of glass, it's cost competitive as well. So it means that we don't have to go to an architectural frame. I keep mentioning that word architectural, but purely because the frame sizes and so forth get bigger.
Yeah.
But you know, as you know, we can do 3 metre high, 3.2 metre high doors in the architectural, and as you know, we can do 14, 15 metre wide doors in the architectural. So. Yeah. Once you've got panels that size, the aluminium does get quite small because it's the panels of glass getting so large. So
yeah.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, this is a great start, and its only limitation right now is the fact that it's exactly the same as our current residential frame, and it does everything our current residential frame does now. But it's the way that it goes together, the way it drains, it can take more water, it's got a higher wind loading and so forth, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, nice one.
Cool.
Okay. Is there another? Yeah,
so if we just pop down here, and what I can do is actually show you the architectural door. So funnily enough, probably don't actually look too much different now. I shall get that open actually to be fair, compared to the Fairview one. But with this particular, and this is probably the funny thing where the thickness of this frame is a tad deeper.
Yeah.
The depth, sorry. So what that means that we can get bigger panes of glass, more height, and so forth. But this particular frame has a slightly wider, a slightly bigger top and bottom rail. It's a slightly deeper frame.
Yeah.
It has a similar sort of waterhead to that one over there. When I say waterhead, basically what I mean is how much water flow the actual door can take. So you'll notice that quite a few sliding doors, that when the rain, this is the outside of the door here now, but when the water hits the door, it drains into the frame, then it drains out the outside into our blowback valves. It's because it's a deeper height, it's got a much better water head.
Yeah.
So it means that it can obviously take more water in its sump system to actually drain out. So this particular door here is basically what we would use if you wanted to have multiple sliding doors. So we can do 6, 8 panel sliding doors in this suite. We can do over the wall sliding doors. We can do that way higher than the Fairview one. We can do 2.5 and up.
Yeah.
And the width is basically endless as far as your steel beams that hold the roof up will allow.
Yeah. I think an important thing to point out is the bigger the units get and the more doors, the wider the unit gets that way.
Correct.
Well.
Yes.
That has to fit within a wall. So
yes.
We're now quite often building in wall framing that is 140 millimetres. Yeah. And also 190 millimetres.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is good for a number of other reasons. It allows you to put a lot more insulation in the walls.
True.
But yeah, obviously it's a lot bigger than the standard 90mm framing.
Yeah, and that's what people have to realise as well too, because at the end of the day, most timber framing in houses is 90mm.
Yeah.
A lot of these frames, especially these sliding stacking frames, are upwards of sort of 180mm wide. So when you take that into consideration, then of course your claddings on the outside, you've really got to allow for that. And as you say, as you go multiple panels, you could be very, very wide. So we have to have a thick wall to take that. But the spin-off for that is obviously you can get more insulation in that wall as well too. So, and that's a big factor, obviously as well. So yeah.
And obviously also with the aluminium being wider here as well. It depends on how you walk through a door, but people will obviously walk across this on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah. So. It's funny, being a window fabricator, and myself and my guys, we tend to walk over over the sill, and that's what I prefer, and that's what I prefer people to do, because obviously this is aluminium and it will scratch if you've got anything on you, like a stone embedded in your shoe. But yeah, a lot of people do walk on them, and it's a bit hard to see, especially when you just put new joinery in and the client comes, or someone comes along. Actually, I've seen quite a few plumbers. Plumbers are good at that.
Yeah, obviously during the construction stage we do have tape across there, which you guys actually put on when you send them out.
That's correct.
Put them in,
That's
so
correct,
it does protect it in the construction stage. But
that's correct.
Once you've built your deck or your outdoor area up to the aluminium and the floor comes in from the inside, it just becomes part of the floor basically.
That's right.
People will just walk wherever. So.
Yeah, well, and which is true, but I suppose, from our perspective, and we like keeping the joinery looking as good as it possibly can for as long as it can, and especially when the clients move in. So that's what, like you say, we do put the tape down to try and protect it, and obviously once the client moves in, well, it's their house. Yeah. So if they wish to stand on that sill, they can do so. Yeah. So it's no problem.
Okay, nice one.
So right adjacent to the architectural is a bit of a collage, so to speak, of our thermal frame. Now, the beauty, and as I say, as we go through these frames, there's probably not much cosmetically that actually looks different. One thing you'll notice we have an actual hinge door, and also too we have an opening window, but the unique thing we have with this particular frame is all of these frames through here have this black strip through here, and that black strip continues all the way through to divide the two pieces of aluminium extrusion, and that's the polyamide strip. So that's
the thermal break.
That's the thermal break, correct? Yep. And in the case of a, if I can maybe show you a piece of aluminium extrusion to show you how many thermal breaks that go into I'll just shoot this way if I can, and I'll just grab this out of here. We'll grab this one for a start. This is single hinge door, So this here is a single sliding door. So what happens? You have your fixed pane of glass sits in here. So ultimately, if this is your floor, the door frame would sit up on here. Your door would slide in here, and your fixed panel is in here. So this is a one slide, one fixed. So we have two polyamide strips in here, and we have three pieces of aluminium extrusion. So that's a 5-part frame. The stacker door frame has another sliding door, another part on it again. So that then becomes a 7-piece frame. So you've got a lot of individual pieces of extrusion that have to get individually powder coated, and then nailed together with the polyamide strip. So it's a real intricate extrusion. I'm surprised that the guys up in Auckland who through Fairview head office actually get all this in the right spot, because you basically got to have to nail those two together, and then this one on and next one and next one. So it ends up being a very large frame, so to speak.
And once they're locked together, obviously they can't move that way?
Correct, yeah. To be fair, back in the earlier days, there is a certain pressure that has to be applied for the crimping machine or the kneeling machine to kneel it together, and we have had once before a wee issue where one of the piece of extrusions was loose, but since that's been tidied up, it's been, You got to think also too, thermally broken frames have been around in New Zealand for a number of years now, but the different techniques, a lot of the stuff has come from the likes of Europe and so forth. So this isn't a New Zealand idea. They're basically European ideas which have come in, and we've incorporated them into our aluminium frames. So and so that whole system is a very well used around the world system, basically. So it's pretty cool.
Okay, so earlier on you mentioned the glass as well. Obviously there's several different types of glass you can put in the units.
So as of 2007, October 2007, it was mandatory for the South Island to have double glazed glass in all new builds. So that's 13 years now. That's coming up 13 years. So it's a wee while. So Pre-2007, it was single glazed, and anyone who wanted to have double glazed glass, it was considered a luxury.
Yeah.
Now it's not a luxury. Standard double glazed glass is compulsory, which is great, because at the end of the day, now look. Yes, there's lots of different types of glass. What I say to clients is standard double glazed glass units. The heat retention is just absolutely sensational. So we have different settings, and we have a WERS report which basically tells us for a house style of window joinery what we can do for R values. Now, R values are a big thing when it comes to building a house, But if we just go back to the double glazed, the standard double glazed glass, heat retention 101. So it's all about trying to keep as much heat into the house. The next step up from a standard double glazed glass unit is to go to a low E glass. Now Fairview own their own glass manufacturing company, and it's called Glass Relate. So we get a very, very good deal price-wise on a low E glass called Solus Low E. Solus Low E is just a sensational glass, with a point where, if you have a big glass opening, say for example this one here, if we had low E glass in that window, and you're heating the inside of the room up with a fireplace or some sort of heat pump, it's fantastic heat retention. So it's almost like when you have low E glass, if you have some big thermal drapes and you draw those, get those shut, it's like having thermal drapes on your windows, but you can have the thermal drapes open. So the low E glass is all about creating heat retention. So the sun's rays will come in, but the heat will stay in the room basically.
So what would be the percentage over standard double glazing? What's the percentage?
Depending on the actual makeup, but of the glass and the frame, because keep in mind, if we go to a thermal frame and so forth, but you could probably easily start upwards of 30% and more, upwards of sort of 50%. So once you go to a low E glass, and then you add all the maybe argon gas is the next step. Thermal frame will help as well too. So all those little things, but. Ultimately, the best bang for buck is the low E glass. That gives you, even to the point if you're doing a house lot of joinery and you're using a residential frame, if you use that low E glass, that is just a great way to save energy costs. That's hands down.
So the actual makeup of double glazing, I see you've got a cross section of one there. A lot of people don't understand that if you get a unit made up, you can't change it.
Correct.
So it's really important to get that right.
Yes, you're dead right. And we all know, especially in the building trade, if a client chooses a glass, or funny enough, I just had one just recently who wanted a cat door put into a bottom of a door. Not only was the glass toughened glass, because we have to put toughened glass into hinge doors and sliding doors now, but you've got to cut the hole for the cat door and the two panes of glass separately to each other. So basically what happens, if going to a cat door, you'll have two individual panes of glass, you'll cut a cat hole in them, and then they would then go away, get toughened, so the glass fits through a door, then they'll come back and get made together into a double glazed unit. So we can't, if you have a double glazed unit, you can't put a cat door in there. No. And of course, if you want to go to a tinted glass, it has to be decided basically at the time. I find the funny thing is nowadays not less and less people are going for a tinted glass, and if they do go for a tint, they'll go for a very, very light tint on their glass. A lot of people find that on a dreary day, if you're on the inside looking out, it makes that the whole outside seem drearier than what it actually is. So a lot of people go for clear glass and maybe a low E coating, but yeah, it's a big factor, because the glass is probably one of the biggest costs in the window joinery. So we have to get that right from the get-go. definitely.
Yeah. Now, there's also different colours as well in the glass as well. Like you have green tints and things as well.
Yeah, yeah. So our biggest sellers would definitely be greens and the grey tints. The bronze tint is in that realm of pricing. So all those three different very light tints are all the same price. And offer the same sort of UV elimination. There are a lot darker tints, and there's mirror reflective glass and so forth. So best thing to do is if I like to see a plan of a house, so I can get a bit of a feel of where the house has been situated, and maybe a bit of an idea of its surrounding and so forth. I find if it's a more of a nature or a natural sort of setting with maybe some hilly sort of, it might be out Upper Moottree type, for example, or somewhere out there where you might just have more greenery, and if people want to go for a tint, I'd be going for a green tint, because the green really emphasises the greenery. The
greenery, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
I've done a couple of times before where we're close to the ocean, and people really want to emphasise the colour of the ocean, and we've gone for a blue tint, believe it or not. So, and you look at the sea, it looks like you're in a tropical island. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's pretty cool. So yeah, so many different types of tints and different types of glass makeups. But it's nice to get an idea of the house which is being built. That's why it's nice for clients to come and see us, bring the plans in here. We look at where the house is, where it's situated, and maybe start offering a tint of some description. So. Yeah,
and also in units where you need privacy, so in bathrooms. The options there. Yeah,
well, there's quite a few options there. We can do a different types of obscured glass, and there's some nice obscure glasses on the market now. A couple of other alternatives which we can do. Some people like to put like a mirror tint glass in, so it's a stop sol glass. But the problem with that is it works very, very good during the day when it's a light outside and darker inside. As soon as you turn the light on inside and it's dark outside, it switches that all around. So whoever's on the outside can see exactly what's happening on the inside. so people have to be aware that we can't always, unless of course you like people seeing it.
Well, what we notice is the most common trend that people just go with a frosted glass, don't they? So just a white.
Very high up spec way of doing obscure glass, and quite a tricky sort of way of doing glass is we can do a switch shield. Switch shield is you can change the glass with a switch on the wall from clear to frosted. And very expensive, but really cool. So lots of different types of tinted glass, obscure glass, and specialised glass as well too when it comes to that. So, but yeah, I really like to be, maybe not just myself. One of my guys have got Kent and Mike who work up in the office, and we can basically between the three of us, if I'm not here, Kent or Mike can talk to the clients, and we can basically just go over what the client would like. A lot of times clients come in and they're adamant they want certain things, and I like to discuss them, those types of things, and not saying that I'm always right, because I've got certain things, and they've got certain ways of how the expectations of how they want to live in the house as well too. So it's all about getting what the client wants, but also to educating the client to what he's getting as well.
And things are evolving so quickly that even for us as the builders, that we still don't know what the latest things are. So
that's right. That's right.
It's obviously really important that clients make a connection with you to obviously go through the whole design stage.
That's exactly right. And there's always something new coming on the market, and you being the builder, try and best get that to try and have an overall idea of all the different trades as well. But I tell you what, it just keeps on changing, doesn't it? Doesn't matter what if it's a window joinery or electrical and so forth. So there's always something new coming out of the market, which is great.
It seems that the longer they've been in the trade, the faster things change.
That's crazy, right, isn't it?
I noticed you got quite a technical looking entry handle there.
Yeah. So basically, what I have here is this is a range of digital locks. Now, We have an alliance with Sludge, and Sludge is in New Zealand is called Allegion. And it leads into our hardware as well too. But this particular lock here is an actual digital lock. I won't get it going because it sort of needs to be closed into an actual door for it to work, and with all the locking mechanism and so forth. But the actual beauty of these types of locks, and whether it be Sludge, Yale do a nice lock as well too. Different types of locks and styles. This is a good one in the fact that it's all in one. The problem with some of the locks we have these days, and I've got one of those on our front door to the showroom here, is you've got to have a keypad, but it's only a deadbolt lock. There's no latch to actually keep the door shut during the day.
Right.
So, and that's the beauty of this particular all-in-one system. These are great with the fact, and I'm useless with keys, so it's just nice to have a lock like this here, where you can either punch in a keypad number. This particular lock comes with either there's a card system, there's a fob system, so it means that you can have your phone, for example, stick on your fob on the back, swipe the back of your phone, and you're in the house. This particular one isn't, but there's particular brands, Yale, and also to the Sludge, a unit that's coming after this one, Bluetooth, sorry. So, but basically it means that, for example, if a trade comes to your house and you're not home, he can ring you up. You can basically let him in into the house. So, and it means he does his business into the house, whatever he needs to do. He might leave a card to say that he's been and gone, and so forth. He'll close the door will lock behind him, and that's it. He can't get back into the house again. So, and it means you don't have to leave a key somewhere, because the worst thing, the old key under the mat. A lot of people still do that, but it's not very safe.
And you also don't have to give them your PIN number. So
correct. New builds, what we find with this particular lock in new builds is we have done this in the past, and more so with maybe when there's multiple trades and so forth going into a house. So for example, as the house is being built and it gets locked up, the window joinery goes in, the entry door goes in with this particular lock, and then of course the jib stopper has to go in. So for 2 weeks he's got a code, and that week that code is programmed into this front door. He can get in, he can punch the code, and he can use that code. After 2 weeks that code's defunct, and then of course the painter goes in. He's in there, he's got a couple of weeks to paint, sort of thing. So it means that rather than having one particular code, it means that there's multiple codes which can be used in the locks to go from there. So quite cool, and there's different brands and different makes and models, and quite a few of them do different things. But the next step for us is to offer a lock system much like this one here, but instead of having an actual key system down here, it'll have the day latch, but it'll have a keypad. So you can actually at least keep it shut, and then you end up having a nice deep handle and different colours.
Which always look good on an entry door.
Oh, they do, and this is nice, but it's probably, it's all in one, and so price-wise, probably a little bit cheaper for this one here, because this one's got a few more bits and bobs to make it as a one complete opening door unit. But now, they are nice though, and they do work really, really well. As I say, it just needs to be in an actual door with a jamb to make it operate properly. So otherwise the alarm might go off. So you don't want that. No. Which is all cool. Now, just going back to that whole hardware thing as well too. So because we have got an actual tie up with when it comes to our hardware, so we try. What we've done is Fairview has taken upon themselves with Allegion to create our own hardware range. not only have we done that, which is great, and some real nice products on the market, but what it means is what we were finding in the past is our powder coated aluminium extrusion goes through the line and gets powder coated. So we get links of aluminium extrusion up in Auckland, and they go through the line and they get powder coated to the colour that the client wants a joinery. Hard up behind it is the hardware gets powder coated on the same line. So it means the powder coat finish, colour, sheen, everything is exactly the same as a joinery.
Right.
What we've found in the past, and it doesn't always happen, but what we have found in the past is if we use another company for hardware, and then we use Fairview's window aluminium extrusion, that the makeup in the powder might not always be the same.
Yep. So
the beauty of this range, these two here at least anyway, for powder coat, it means that, or the Canzo and the Stella, it means that when it gets powder coated, it goes through as exactly the same colour.
Yeah.
And just nice. The Verta range here, which is more of a which is an actual stainless steel finish. Now, 316 stainless, made in New Zealand, a real nice range, and it's more expensive, but being handmade and a 316 stainless steel, but yeah, just a real nice finish.
Yeah, just elaborate on a 316 for people who don't understand.
Okay, so there's two types of stainless, a 304, 316. 316 is more of a marine. It's a much better stainless steel product.
Yep.
So it means that the lesser grade, the lesser grade has can rust quite a bit easier.
Yep.
This here is not susceptible to rust, being 316 stainless.
Yep.
So. Yes, good question.
And as per the New Zealand Building Code, if you build within 500 metres of a sea spray zone, then
has to be 316.
Apply, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Which is good, and that's the beauty of it. So, a lot of houses around New Zealand are within 500 metres of the sea. So,
they are. Yep.
So that product works really well. So, pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, shall we do a tour of the facility?
Let's go and have a look round, shall we?
Yeah.
I'll just warn the guys and tell them to stop swearing as we go through.
Yeah.
Come on through. Oh God. We just coming through there, guys. Oh my God, we've got dogs everywhere. So Trevor, basically what we have here is we have an actual glazing rack. The glazing rack is obviously full, so at the moment. So what's happening now is the guys are just basically glazing up some hinge door panels. These are quite going back to that sort of chunkier sort of finish again as we have on these frames. This is for a school job. So basically, the school jobs require wider rails so we can put door closers and so forth on. Right. So hence the reason why these are quite a chunky looking frame.
Yep.
These are getting glazed and going out to a job on Tuesday. So getting all that finished. So yeah, and basically what happens here is for us, this is sort of the final part of the area for us for glazing. So Trevor, what we got here is this is probably our biggest piece of kit as far as our shop is concerned, and most expensive. This is a twin head CNC, a twin head saw, and basically what it does, it's the computers upstairs in the office talk to the computer down on this saw, and we can download information for jobs and so forth. It means that when the guys can come along and cut aluminium extrusion and don't have to measure anything, as long as they're putting the right extrusion in, the saws move in and out and go in a 45, clamp the extrusion, cut it and so forth. So just makes for a nice, easy, no fuss, no confusion way of actually cutting the joinery. So or the extrusion, sorry. So
yeah.
So it's really good. It's really good. But yeah, it's been a vital key to our business, the growth as well too, because it just means that we can we can get in here, we can we can cut the joinery out a lot faster, less wastage, and no damage and so forth. So it's pretty good way of doing it.
So the traditional way of doing this was just with a compound miter saw.
Correct. Yeah. So and the problem with the traditional compounds one saw is you're forever rolling the aluminium extrusion, so you're marking it.
Right.
This we just place it on, it gets cut, that piece comes away, goes into a trolley, and so on and so on. We're not continually rolling the aluminium extrusion and scratching it. So it's a real good way of doing it. So less damage and a lot faster. So it's good. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. When the job gets cut out, basically we come down here and this is sort of our milling station. So what happens here is we end up doing all of our milling and punching and so forth for all our punches and so forth for punching the extrusions. And this is obviously helps rather than drilling holes for the extrusion. It's all about trying to again have less handling for the aluminium extrusion. So we put the extrusion in here, punch the punches come down, and obviously it just punches all the.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
they're all interchangeable in there.
Interchangeable. Yeah. As you can see, you've got multiple different extrusions on here. Yep. So this one punch. Each of these are very expensive, but this one punch is can punch maybe half a dozen, 6 or 8 different types of extrusion, yep. and whether it be holes for drain, for holding rails on the stiles, and also too for notches out and so forth, and extrusion and so on. So it's pretty cool. But the thing with all these punches that they're are specific only for the Fairview suite. So. Yep. What we're going to be doing is once the Fairview 1 suite comes along, we'll have all these again for all the Fairview 1. So, right. So it's quite a financial investment to do that.
To double up, basically.
Correct. Yep. Correct. Yep. It's all cool. So when it comes to here, the aluminium extrusion obviously gets punched and so forth. I've got a just over here. We've got a array of benches and so forth where the guys basically. Manufacture the window joinery. So the guys come along here and screw together the frames and so forth after it's been cut and punched. And all the finished frames come here. And the glazing rack, which we just looked at first, is where the frames generally go there to get glazed up. So, yeah. And that's the manufacturing process of window joinery. So it's quite a, yeah. It's an elaborate process, to be fair. Yeah. Now also too out the back I can show you how our glass gets delivered as well too. Okay. And show you how that goes. Now this looks a little bit maybe a fair amount of glass out here, but basically for us, our glass gets delivered to us by Glass Relate, and they send us out our glass on the glass trolleys. And what happens is we used to get our glass delivered individually, piece by piece, and the problem with that is it come off a truck. And then it went onto a frame or a trolley somewhere in our building, and it got scratched quite easily. This system here means that our glass gets manufactured in Christchurch. They get put on these trolleys. We have actual trolley numbers, so the trolley number indicates where the glass is going to go for the job, basically. So, and each trolley or a frame, I should say, has specific jobs on it, basically. So, and it means we can easily find the glass. We know where it is. And it goes straight basically into the glazing rack and glaze up the doors and windows.
So basically you only end up handling it once and it's in the unit.
Yeah. 99% of the time. We have the odd wee issue, but look, most of the time it's really good. So really good. So yeah, and that's how our glass comes to us. So it's makes life so much easier.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for showing us around, Dion. That was really informative.
No problem.
And, yeah, obviously we have a relationship as you're our supplier for all our clients, and yeah, if anybody's looking to build, then obviously I'd highly recommend you as their first choice.
Well, I appreciate that. Fantastic. Well, and yeah, look, it's just nice to meet the clients as well too, because it's good to see how they operate, what they would like for window joinery, and let's not forget, it's a total package. It's not just the window joinery in a house.
Yep.
It's how the window joinery gets installed, glazed, what selections and so forth, and the relationship that everyone has to do it. So, because a lot of these houses, people are spending so much money, not just with the joinery, the total house package. So, it's a big deal.
It is.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Very important to get it right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. Thanks very much, Dion.
No worries at all. Bloody awesome. Cheers.